Hey, Daniel. Welcome to the podcast. First question, what is speed cubing?
So speed cubing is solving twisty puzzles. Primarily the original 3x3. This is the famous one that everyone can recognize. But then there's loads of others.
I was just looking at your website, which is fantastic. I really like it. And just looking at the types of puzzles, there's just so much choice, isn't there? You've got things that look like a pear or an
Oh
orange.
yeah.
Can you talk me through some of the different types of cubes and puzzles you have?
Right. So let's have a look in my bag. I just brought this bag up. So obviously you have the standard 3x3, which everyone recognizes. And then you have 2x2s. It's interesting because some people think it's harder than a normal 3x3. And then some people think it must be really easy. And it's like the reality is it's somewhere in between. It's like it's easier, but it's not trivial. Like you're not just gonna randomly figure it out if you don't know how to solve a 3x3. Then you've got the Pyraminx. So this is just a different shaped puzzle, which I would say is about as difficult as a 2x2. It's quite an interesting puzzle, but it's just different, and like I prefer cubic puzzles. You have to practice a lot of other stuff to really get used to them.
Does the technique change? So if you're trying to crack a pyramid type shape, is that different from a cube shape?
There's a different method, there's different algorithms you have to learn for it, but I guess the solving principle is the same. So like pretty much everybody who competes in 3x3 at a high level will also compete in Pyraminx as well at some level. A lot of cubers kind of just have a main event that they really care about and then just do everything else to kind of relieve the pressure of the stuff they really care about.
And how big is the community? So is there an awful lot of cubers out there?
Yeah, in good locations you can easily get 200 people at a competition. It varies, but most competitions are around 100 to 200 people. UK Championships had 500 last year.
What would you say is the most challenging type of puzzle to solve?
It's hard to say because there's a lot of stuff that it's like I could learn to solve if I really wanted to. Like things like this Pyraminx, like I'm sure you think it's really difficult to solve, but it's like, well, I know how to solve a Megaminx. I know how to solve a 6x6. So actually, of course, I can figure out how to solve a Pyraminx.
What is that Pyraminx? How does it work? Are they all individual cubes or do the sides move? How does it
Yeah,
work?
so you have 12 sides and then 7 layers on each side. So like it's actually not that difficult to solve. It just takes a very, very long time because it's so big.
Is there someone somewhere creating these puzzles, or are they kind of iterations of like puzzles that happened years ago, just rebranded, or is there someone creating them, working out more intricate, complicated designs?
Well, when it comes to things like Pyraminxes, it's like we already have a Megaminx, so people know the concept. It's just, oh, let's make a bigger one and a bigger one. So actually, people have made even bigger ones up to what's the biggest Megaminx? Somebody made an Atlas Minx, so they go up in the metric system. I don't know if you know, you have kilo, mega. So this is a mega, and then a 5x5 is a gigaminx, and then a 7x7 is a teraminx, and they just go up in that system. And then somebody's made a one so big that there's not even an actual prefix for it anymore.
So these things can get as big as your imagination. There's no point.
I mean, obviously there's design trouble when you get really big. Like it's very fiddly and difficult to design, and I've never really looked into doing it myself. It's just fun when people do that. You can buy a 21x21 if you really want, though.
So if you go up in size, do they become more complicated, or is it just preference? Some people prefer the bigger cubes, or how does it work?
It's up to 6x6. You have to learn more stuff to solve the bigger cubes. After 6x6, you should be able to solve any cube, no matter how big it gets. and it's similar with other stuff like that. That there is a level where it's just like, yeah, you know how to solve it. It just takes longer. But then there are other puzzles which are just different, and you'd have to learn a new method for. So, for example, I've got my face turning octahedron here. I don't actually know how to solve it yet. It's not an official WCA event, so I just kind of have never had the interest to learn how to solve it, but I'm sure I could if I wanted to.
If you wanted to work out how to solve something, would you look at instructions, or would you just play about with it until you figured it out?
It depends what it is. Like, a lot of things I have managed to figure out based on other puzzles, but something like that, like I wouldn't be able to do it based on that. Something like this is the Ivy cube. Like, it's so simple that like I can quite easily figure out how to do it.
Do you think in all the times you've talked to people, because I know you go to schools, don't you, and you arrange these competitions, there are people who get it really quickly and their brain works in that way, and there are people that really struggle? Or
There's
would you say
some element of that, but I think the thing is perseverance. If you want to learn how to solve a cube, you can learn how to solve a cube. If you just give up quickly, then you don't. My usual mentality when I meet somebody who's interested is I give them my solution guide, and if they continue being interested, then I will actually try and explain how to do it and follow through my solution guide with them. And usually by the end, they will be able to solve a cube once. And then maybe they'll try and do it without my help, just following my solution guide at some other time, and eventually be able to do it in general. But that's up to them, really.
And I noticed on your website that there are, like I say, that there are some shaped like fruit. What do you have to do with those? Is it similar to a cube? Do you have to get it all one color?
Let me try and find a fruit cube. It's interesting. So yeah, I've got a banana here in this bag here. I've also got the orange in this bag here. The orange is annoyingly difficult because the trouble is when you're trying to design something like that is some of the pieces are the exact same, which means you can't differentiate them. So the orange has just been left unsolved for ages. But the pear and the lemon are just 3x3. So if you could solve a 3x3, you should be able to figure them out. The banana is a 2x2x3. So it requires a different method, but is actually theoretically easier. Yeah.
So it starts out as, I don't know, is the end point trying to get it back into the shape? Is that what the objective is?
So it looks like some kid left it almost solved at the competition I was selling at, but not quite. So I guess I've got to actually solve it now. And there we go. It is now. Yes, it is now solved. So it is in the shape of a banana now. And then you can mess it up as much as you like, and then you've got to get it back.
Regarding the fruit, is that more of a novelty side to it, or is it just a bit of fun, or is it more complicated because of the shape?
Like, I don't think any serious speed cube has practice solving fruit cubes. It's just a bit of fun.
Yeah.
And I have them because they sell well at my stalls sometimes. So I might as well have them available.
Yeah.
Just get something for fun.
Just
like some other things, like weirdly sized cubes. Like they always are interesting.
There's I noticed on your website there's a puzzle that's got loads of clock faces on it.
Oh yeah, the clock.
So just explain it. How do you solve that puzzle? I had one as a child actually. And I think I'm that minority who just give up
For a long time, clock was the only event where people still actively used a Rubik's branded product for up until about 2020. And the funny thing was that for years, the only Rubik's branded product that was used by Speedcubers was also discontinued. So they didn't even make it anymore. Right, so clock, you've got to get all of the clock faces to face 12.
Yeah.
So if you hold a pin up on that side, that means that only these 4 clocks here can turn and the other ones can't, but it does something else to the other side. So if you look here, only these 4 are turning.
Yeah.
These 2 pins up, then all these 6 will turn. So the method to solve it, this is quite hard to explain when I can't see the front side, but the method to solve it is to get the center clock to match up with the bottom one, and then do the same thing with each pin, like that. And then that matches up there. Those match up with that one. Then you put them all to 12. Not good up like that. And then you do the same thing on the other side.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And then you do the same thing with the corners, where just these 4 will turn. And then once you've done that, you get them all back up to 12, and miraculously the other side happens to be solved as well. So realistically, it is one of the simplest and easiest puzzles in the World Cube Association to learn. I don't really know why it's an official event. It just, when they made the World Cube Association, somebody high up in it liked clock and was like, yeah, it's an event. So it was an event, and now they can't really remove it because there are quite a few people who really like it.
Well, is its name just clock? Is that the term people use for it, clock?
Yeah.
So just going back to these events, so you've got the UK I don't know, Foundation Society of Cubers and
UK Cube Association.
Yeah. And do you have championships each year to see who can do these puzzles the fastest? Is that essentially how it works?
Yeah, so we have the UK Championship every year in October. And then nowadays we have some other competition somewhere in the UK almost every weekend. And those are just open competitions. So anybody can come from anywhere and compete. Whereas obviously in the UK Championships, you can only podium in anything or win any prizes if you're British. And the same thing, like other countries will have their own championships at different times.
If you were going to start, so if you take a cube, is there always a system that you use to solve the puzzle? Is there always like the same step, same part that you start with to fix it? So for example, if I use like a jigsaw, people start with the outer pieces first, or the corner pieces, then work out the rest of it. Is that how you tend to solve one of these cubes? Is it the same process?
So there's various methods to solve a cube. What most speed cubers do is they start off by solving a cross. So just pick any color and get the 4 edges next to each center.
Yeah.
And the center underneath to match up. So I've got this cross here.
Yeah.
You can see, and the centers match up on each side.
And
then what I teach in my beginner tutorial is just to insert the corner now into the bottom layer, so that you then have one layer solved like that. So I've got one layer, and it matches up like that. What speedcubers would actually do is they'd solve the first layer and the second layer at the same time, because it's a lot faster, and you can eventually learn how to do that, but that's not something worth starting with. The next step normally, if you're not like sub 20, I guess, is to solve the second layer. So you get these edges in with an algorithm for that, and then you can solve the final edge, and then you've got the second layer done. And then there's a step called OLL, which is orientation of the last layer. Pretty much all the fast speed cubers will do this all in one look, or even try and influence the next step as well as that. But to start off with, you're just doing one algorithm to get the cross on the bottom, and then one algorithm repeatedly to get all of that side solved. And then you've just got PLL here, where you've got this whole layer solved, and you've just got to swap these pieces around to finish it off. All speed cubers will do this in one step very easily, but the basic method is to do one algorithm to swap these two, and then one algorithm to swap the edges as well.
There also seems like a lingo involved in the cubing community. You mentioned these like terms and stuff.
Yes, that is problematic. Like, I often do talk in like cubing terms that you might not understand, and got to explain stuff, which but yes, there's all sorts of words, and we've got whole dictionaries of different terms that you can find online actually.
What's the world record for completing, or whatever the term is, for like is it a 6x6? Is that the standard shape, or
3x3 is standard?
3x3, sorry.
Yeah.
What's the world record?
So the current world record single is 3.13.
And what's your record? What's your personal best for doing a 3x3?
So in an official competition, my best time is 6.52.
Yeah.
I've got a 4.936 at home. All of the top cubers nowadays can probably solve a cube in 3 looks. So they'll plan out like the first cross plus 2 F2L pairs. So they'll solve the cross and like half of the first 2 layers. So that half is solved, but that half isn't. And then they'll solve the next 2 pairs and orient the cross on the bottom. And then just know an algorithm to finish it off. Like, that's loads and loads of algorithms, and I don't know that much, but some people do know that sort of thing.
It is fascinating just seeing your hands. They move so quickly. It's so hard to kind of, keep up with it almost.
I've never actually learned how to turn cubes specifically to make it faster. I've just done it so many times that I worked out things like that. I think some people do try and learn special finger tricks for it, but I've never seen any reason to.
What's a finger trick?
So instead of, on the old cubes, they're so stiff that you basically have to use your own hand to turn them. But now you can just like use one finger. So it's like how you use that finger to like make a move. So I guess if you really slow me down, like I'm using this finger to do the U layer here, but then I've got to also bring it back afterwards. And I can either do that with this finger here, or I can push it back here. And it's like there's different ways you can do that, and it's working out which is faster.
Thank you ever so much, Daniel. I'll put your details, your website, which is really, really good, in my description for the video. But I really appreciate you talking to me.
Yep, thank you.
All right, take care, Daniel. See you later. Bye-bye.